I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Comics Are Awesome for the week of whatever we are, August 2nd, 2017, brought to you by Alter Ego Comics, which is where we reside. We live at Alter Ego Comics, comic shop in Lima, Ohio, where we talk about all comics that are awesome, to hopefully steer you towards them. And lots of stuff to talk about this week. But we'll start off with my pick of the week, Mech Cadet U, #1 from Boom Studios, written by Greg Pak, artwork by Takeshi Miyazawa. And yeah, man, I didn't expect to really like this as much as I did, but I should not be surprised. It's written by Greg Pak, writer of Planet Hulk and many other things that are awesome. This is a story about some mechs, some robots that come to Earth and choose their pilots. And about 10 years ago, a robot came to Earth, chose his pilot, and he's now legendary within this community of cadets. There's now an academy where people train to become mech pilots. And
he saved the galaxy. I feel like maybe he's just legendary everywhere.
That must be it, yeah. We don't get a whole lot of info on that.
No, but, I mean, they mentioned that he saves people, now he's gone out to protect the stars or something.
The resounding defeat of the alien monsters known as the Sharg.
People probably have heard of them.
He's been off-planet for years fighting the good fight.
Yeah. That's where you fight it.
Yeah.
Off-planet.
Off-planet. So this academy trains cadets to be prepared because the mechs come back every 4 years and choose new pilots. But there are only 4, I guess. There are 4 mechs that show up.
Is it 3 or 4?
I think it's 4.
Okay.
But this year, only 2 show up. But one got sidetracked. One's like the Iron Giant. He got lost. He's a little broken. And he runs into one of the janitors for the school, who's the son of the other maintenance janitor person. Young kid who dreams of bigger things than what he's doing, and he's kind of looked down on by some of the cadets. And this mech chooses him, and this is Mech Cadet U, who bears a striking resemblance to Ash from Pokemon. So if you like that, you got that going for you. This has humor, this has heart, this has feeling. It's got amazing artwork, and the cover really pops off the shelf. But I primarily wanted to bring it to your attention because there is so much stuff that hits the stands every week, especially from the big two from Marvel and DC, that a lot of times something like this is going to get passed over. So you want to look it over and then buy it because it's really good. Mech Cadet U is fun. Yes, go ahead.
Because it shouldn't be overlooked.
It shouldn't be overlooked.
Are we going to sing the Michigan J Frog now? I'm looking over a 4-leaf clover that I've overlooked
We might
before.
before the end of the episode. Not right now though. So yeah, great stuff. Great kickoff. I hope it's more than a miniseries. It doesn't say whether it is or not, but I'm hoping that it's an ongoing.
Yeah, a lot of Boom stuff lately has been minis and then picked up.
But yeah, I think you should get Mech Cadet U. Also by Greg Pak this week. Also something you should get is the first in Marvel's Generations one-shots, which team up the legacy version of characters with the newer, younger, more ethnically diverse characters in the Marvel universe. So we get Totally Awesome Hulk, Totally Awesome Hulk and Banner Hulk. Banner Hulk. How about Incredible Hulk? Can we call him the Incredible Hulk? Why can't we call him the Incredible Hulk? He's Banner Hulk? Anyway. They team up in something. Is it the Vanishing Point? Is it? I don't know what. Marvel's just throwing terms around that are supposed to make people curious. But it's cool to see these two characters interact together outside of time, kind of, sort of.
They're not outside of time.
They're not outside of time. We don't know how they got there.
Right.
And
it appears
I'm not spoiling much, I think, by Amadeus is thrown back in time.
Right.
So he's back with a younger version of Bruce who does not know Amadeus at this point, but Amadeus knows everything about Bruce, knows how to cure Bruce. He's done that already. So it's great to see them interacting with each other. This is the first, as I said. We'll have, I believe, one a week for the entire month of August, marching us towards Legacy, which starts in September, if I'm not mistaken. Might be October.
Sure.
Of the two, Mech Cadet U's better, though.
To be fair, Mark loves the Iron Giant more than is natural.
Actually, any story. I think you love the Iron Giant.
Actually, you can go back through our archives and see any story that's about a young boy or a robot. Mark is there. So
I don't know why. I don't really like robots. They scare me.
Ever since Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Roy Batty's coming.
Those skin jobs.
My pick of the week this week is Dead of Winter #1, written by Carl Sparks with art by Gabbo. It's just Gabriel Gabbo Batista. And Dead of Winter was a very popular board game. It's a cooperative zombie survival thing where you play a group of people made up of disparate survivors trying to get through, and maybe there's a traitor, maybe there's not. But you don't need to know any of that to read this comic. All you need to know is it features a dog wearing a cape fighting zombies. And that is everything you need to know. You show up for that, you'll get everything you want out of Dead of Winter. It is great. It's got a lot more going on than I anticipated for a board game tie-in comic, which is apparently a thing now. That's not previously been something we had to discuss. But yeah, so you get some interesting survivors. I like when the survivors are more like if you just randomly grab 15 people to survive from Lima, they're probably not going to be a hyper competent katana wielding. They're not going to be the survivors we see in zombie movies a lot of the time. They're going to be idiots or people who aren't necessarily
Don't take it personally,
competent.
Lima.
No, I don't mean Lima. I mean any city in
I know
general.
you
If
do,
you grab a random part of the population, they're not going to be the best of the cream of the
They're
crop.
not going to be the best around.
So I like having a mix. Some of these people are pretty competent, good at their jobs, trying to help people, and some of them are just trying to survive. Lots of humor, lots of fun, and a dog wearing a cape fighting zombies. That's the takeaway.
There you go. Next up for me is Elsewhere, in issue #1. This is written by our pal Jay Ferber, with artwork by the great Kesgan, Sumei Kesgan. So, Mr. Ferber, you may recall, is the writer of Copperhead, among other things. That's currently what he's most well known for. And we love Copperhead. Copperhead is excellent.
A+.
I know if you've been in the shop, we've probably referred it to you before. We sell the trades pretty regularly. Elsewhere is about what might have happened to Amelia Earhart. Maybe she got sucked into some sort of time and space black hole thing that spits her out in a new sort of universe where there are demons and magical powers and evil rulers, because that's what happens in this book. So it's great to see a character, a historical character like Amelia Earhart in this situation where she's dealing with things that we mostly read in Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons, and Reborn. And it turns out that Amelia might not be the only person from American history who flew on a plane to show up in the land of Elsewhere. It might have a name. It actually has a name, I think, but I'm going to call it Elsewhere. It lives in a little snow globe, shaken up by an autistic kid.
Mr. Feeney's there.
If you get that reference, I don't know. I'm proud of you. So Elsewhere is another one that may get overlooked on the stands because it's going to be over in the land of independent comics for the most part. But it is excellent, highly worth your time and money, and curious to see where this goes. At this point, I will read anything that Jay Ferber writes, and Elsewhere is something that he writes, and it's very good.
Next up for me from Devil's Due, one first. Why is there a 1 in front of first? I just keep having problems with this logo.
Yeah. Talk to that guy that founded First Comics. He's pretty old, and he'll talk to you. He's crazy.
Lark's Killer, written by Bill Willingham.
Little Billy Willingham.
He used to be Billy, didn't he, in the early days?
Know. Probably when he was 5.
Yeah.
In the early days, before we knew who he was.
Writer and creator of Fables. And this is his first new independent series since Fables. We got art by Mark Dos Santos. And this is a story of a girl from our universe that gets sucked into a fantasy universe with orcs and trolls and dragons and stuff. That's the theme this week. That's the thing. But we get a cool framing story with a kind of stock group of adventurers going in to steal a dragon's hoard. And rather than fighting the dragon decides to regale them with a tale of years gone by. And it's very funny, very, very much in the Willingham vein. Lots of kind of, I don't want to say obscene, but there's some, poop jokes and stuff.
Eat my festering poops. Best line in the book.
But then we get a girl who's sort of, the story the dragon tells is of a girl from our world who's been kind of living rough and gets sucked into a fantasy city, and she's on the run from sellswords and must find allies or someone to protect her, and it's great. Characterizations are good. The art is kind of a fine line between cartoony, which really works for the tone of the book, and sort of more anime-infused maybe a little bit, which I guess is also cartoony from a certain point of view.
It's kind of Disney-esque.
Oh, definitely, and the colors help with that.
Yeah.
The coloration, there's a lot of dark scenes, but there's still color in the background and things pop. And I really like it. Bill Willingham is one of the most proficient writers in comics, and so I'm thrilled to have a new book from him on the stands.
Yeah, I think Fables is something that is an afterthought for a lot of people these days. There's so many binge-worthy series, especially things that have been done in the last 5 to 10 years, that sometimes Fables gets overlooked. Overlooked is my word of the day, by the way. Fables is totally a series that you should check out. Even if you have tried it once and it didn't work for you, which is what happened to me, go back and try it again. 'Cause it took 2 runs at it for me to get hooked on Fables, and then I was hooked and tore through all the volumes and read Jack of Fables.
And with Fables, it's worth noting that each volume is kind of tonally different. I mean, the first story is kind of a detective murder mystery story, and then there's war stories. So, I mean, if the first volume didn't work for you, it might be worth flipping through or checking out one of the later volumes. Usually you can follow them without too much
it's a
trouble.
lot of character building and world building, so it's like the first season of Babylon 5 or the first season of Star Trek Enterprise or Buffy. I mean, you got to suffer through it to get to the good stuff. And that's not to say, because really Fables Volume 1 is top-notch.
Oh, it's very good, but yeah, it definitely works better as the beginning of a series than it does as a...
So when we say that Bill Willingham, the creator of Fables, is launching a new creator-owned series at an imprint that probably most of you have never heard of before, it's worth checking out. Unstoppable Wasp is my final pick this week, and this is also the final issue of Unstoppable Wasp. For the 10 of you that have been reading it with us, I know that this will strike you as quite sad. And it is a fitting end to the series. We get a nice kind of epilogue-type story where the characters are brought back together again, and we get loose ends tied up, and everybody's happy. And I mean, it really is. It's a very upbeat, happy issue for the most part. There are some tears. But this has been an outstanding series from beginning to end. Tip of the hat to Jeremy Whitley and his collaborators on this. We have different artists on this, Rose Stein and Ted Brandt, and previously it was Elsa Chartier, I think is who it was. And God, what a just great series. And to develop this character of Nadia Pym from essentially nothing. You know, she had 3 brief appearances created by Mark Waid in Avengers, and then Whitley made her his own and made her likable and made all of her friends likable and just created this whole universe around her, which is outstanding. Made Jarvis, fun and funny, and there's a great letter at the end from Whitley about, kind of a sign-off letter. So anyway, Unstoppable Wasp is one that we will continue to hand sell for years and years to come, I'm sure, to anyone that appreciates good comics, but especially comics with young teen girls as the protagonists. Is that right? Protagonist?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Yeah, antagonist is the bad guy.
Right. I mean, that's an oversimplification, but yeah.
Yeah, and her group of Supergirls, the super smart, maybe.
Yeah, no one in this book has powers. I guess Nadia's size-changing powers, but like it's all being
more
smart
using your noggin. Yeah,
and having heart.
And that's what this book is. This book is full of heart. So pick up the first trade, which I think is 1 through 5, which is going to be weird.
They may change that. It hasn't released yet, has it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Or it's coming soon.
I mean, if they know it's only going to 8 issues, there's no way they would only trade. Yeah, it should either be 4 and 4 or all 8. Hopefully all 8.
Pick up the trade, find the back issues. Unstoppable Wasp. Turns out is stoppable at issue number 8.
I'm fine. We're not singing the 4-leaf clover song anymore. Now we're going to sing Danny Boy for Unstoppable Wasp. Or wait, was there a Russian version of Danny Boy? Is there
Probably.
Also, if you're a crazy Marvel continuity person like me, we get to see some Hank Pym flashback stuff where he makes references to pop culture things, so you could theoretically use that to increase your large board of figuring out how the Marvel timeline works. Not that I did that or anything. Also out this week, Batman Elmer Fudd #1 second printing, written by Tom King, drawn by Lee Weeks, which are 2 great tastes that taste great together. We flew off the stands in the initial release. It is awesome. It is one of the best one-shot Batman stories. It's not even really a Batman story. It's in the Batman universe, but one of the best one-shot comics DC's done in years. You should absolutely check it out. And if you like that mixture of cartoon ridiculosity and recognizable stuff with a heavier, more adult crime sense thing, you want to check out my next pick, the graphic novel of Spencer and Locke. Spencer and Locke is about a young boy named after a philosopher who has a stuffed cat who he believes is real, who's also named after a philosopher. And in this version of, we're just called Calvin and Hobbes, in case if you didn't pick up on that. It's Calvin and Hobbes. Locke has grown up, and he is a detective, a cop.
A smoker.
A smoking cop. But no, this is definitely not Calvin and Hobbes. This is R-rated, heavy crime, kind of Brubaker noir stuff. But there is a lot of humor in it, inherent in taking basically a knockoff version of Calvin and Hobbes, aging him up. And the flashback stories are drawn sort of in the Calvin and Hobbes style, but they are still tonally similar to this. So you're seeing awful things happen to these characters that are analogs of characters that we grew up with and love, or maybe just love if you're older than I am. And it is top notch. It also has a surprising kind of. I might have gotten a little emotional by the end of the story. Like there's some feels in here. So laughing, crying, crime, your childhood, smoking cigarettes. Spencer and Locke is awesome, and that is from Action Lab, Danger Zone. Every company has 2 names now.
Yeah, Action Lab is the publisher, and they have like imprints within. They have their kid stuff. They have Zombie Tramp, which is it should be in the Danger Zone, but I don't know where it is. But
Danger Zone.
Yes, Danger Zone.
Yes.
So yes, Danger Zone. Speaking of Danger Zone, so I'm flying back from Vegas last week.
Sure, like you do.
Flew Southwest because there really is no other airline to fly
from the Southwest to here.
If you like quality and don't want to be stranded someplace for the most part. So of course the Southwest airline folks, the stewards and stewardesses, what are they called? There's another word.
Flight attendants?
There you go. Flight attendants have the flexibility to say whatever they want when they get on the walkie-talkie thing and the speaker system and talk about buckling seatbelts and oxygen masks and those sort of things. And we were preparing for takeoff, getting ready to zoom down the runway, and the main guy, not the captain, the head steward, the head attendant, gets on and says, ladies and gentlemen, we just got a message from the captain. He feels the need for speed. And he starts playing Danger Zone over the thing as we accelerate. It was awesome. It was the best. And this, again, we were getting off, we landed, getting ready to get off the plane. As soon as we landed, he's like, ladies and gentlemen, we heard that there's a special person celebrating a birthday today. Actually celebrating his 101st birthday, and this is actually his first time flying. So as you're leaving the plane today, wish the captain a happy birthday. He was great, but Danger Zone is great.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I gave you that for nothing. That was in the free video. We got to hear that great story about Southwest. So yes, we have more to talk about over in our bonus video for Patreon patrons, and we would sincerely appreciate your patronage. Thank you to those of you that have pledged to keep us going here, to upgrade equipment, to take the time that we need to talk about comics that are awesome. So if you'd like to become a patron, we'll put a link in there, and you can head on over and see the bonus video where we talk about even more comics that are awesome, and you get other cool stuff for becoming a patron as well. So that is it for this week. Make sure to head over to our private Facebook group, too, for Comics Are Awesome, where we have some active discussions. And it's just a lot of fun. So until next time, keep your feet in the ground, keep reaching for the stars.